environment, and the other one is going to go to e-learning environment. But they're not going to be. I'm not going to be mixing environments.
So why don't you just use the 4 different classes? Why create that? Why create that complication?
She's trying to get the random assignment
The
thing.
random assignment, but
If
if you think
For the virtual class.
No,
that's why
because-
I'm here. If you guys think it's not necessary, just taking the courses as they.
So one section is face-to-face and the other 3 are online,
Will
correct?
be online, yeah.
But
Well, you really only need 3. You just need you just need one face-to-face, one Blackboard, and one virtual world.
Okay, so.
I mean, I think you have to test. I mean, you have to gather this information, and then you have to do a test to make sure there's no significant differences based upon these demographic variables that we think might be important.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is.
Because you still have the same
As
problem.
they register, just assign them to one of the
Well,
environments.
you just decide.
when they register, do they register for physical meetings or online?
Okay,
Some of those.
for this semester, the pilot, they are already in.
You're doing a pilot this semester.
I'm gonna do it later on when I get the approval
The
to,
IRB.
to be able to start. And they're, it's gonna be whoever volunteers, and in this case, since it's not all students in the section, just the volunteers, I might need to assign them, do a random assignment in order to get equivalent number of students in each treatment. But for next semester, since the course is going to be appear as an online course, I wouldn't have to do the random assignment. My understanding is that it doesn't need to be done. So next semester.
Because you're not solving the problem. Because they've already selected to go into a particular course, and you're just shuffling them within a section. That doesn't help you when you compare. I don't think it solves the problem.
Okay. So then.
But you have to test. I mean, you have to gather information, you have to run your t-test, and make sure there's no significant differences.
Before you give them the assignment, so before you start to do the
Yeah.
assignment. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The other thing is random assignment in terms of the work groups, is just to avoid that they all tend to gather by themselves when they have, they always show them. We're trying to give them a little bit of.
So you gotta put them into groups to
Yeah,
work on the
to work
test.
on the
Okay.
Okay. The data collection is going to be through online questionnaires, one that measures the subject's immersive tendencies, and the participant profile will also get some questions about their profile, and the demographics I'm going to get them from the system, from the student system and the UPR. And during the semester I'm going to give them 4 different exercises, maybe now with the revisions that you selected, maybe less instead of 4, and a questionnaire right after each exercise in order to make sure the things are good.
And then rotation.
And now you do it.
Okay, go ahead. Why are you collecting statistics about the frequency of communications?
Speaking about the frequency of communications, I'm gathering that in order to measure if the reported sense of presence by the users it's related to the users.
Don't collect any data if you don't have a hypothesis. This has got to be so tight. You don't gather anything that you're not going to use. So if you're going to put that in there, then I want to see it in the research model.
And it was basically like I thought of it like a check of how good the questionnaire is in order to measure presence.
But that should be done before you give the question. I mean, that shouldn't be part of it. You shouldn't be checking for how good the questionnaire is when you're using the questionnaire. Now, you might have told me, it's interesting, descriptive data that I'm just sort of interested in, and that's okay. But in your own mind, because let me tell you, these things can overwhelm you. And so you don't want to go with any data just because you think it would be nice to have. I mean, you need to really think, why am I doing this? How am I going to use it? And if you're not, then don't spend the time. Because that's going to take a lot of time. You're going to have to, what are you going to do? You're going to videotape them, you're going to look at transcripts, you're going to code it. How are you going to do that? I mean, that's a pretty difficult thing to capture.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it was just practice while they were performing, that could have a lot of activity within the virtual world or the virtual learning environment, and then analyze it.
But you got to do it in the face-to-face world, and you got to exactly the same things you do in your virtual world, you have to do in your other two treatments.
Okay, so basically it's just, I just wanted to check the,
Yeah.
I don't mind.
That's not the name.
This is Catherine's personal project.
Okay, now to the hypothesis. The first hypothesis that I have is that virtual learning environment engenders a higher sense of group presence than other e-learning environments. Here I would,
Take out e-learning, because face-to-face, it's not e-learning.
than other learning environments.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You see this? This is from the outside room.
Okay.
From other,
Which, and she said, implies here, this first main hypothesis, her view should be eliminated.
Yeah, which I
Yeah.
agreed with.
Yeah, she thinks that it should be basically like a check for the second hypothesis.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
and then we go to the second hypothesis, which is practically the same. Students using virtual
Right.
world
That's right.
learning environment, again, just learning environment, you know, the e-learning.
You use the word weight. Can you explain what that means?
Weighted mean of group presence in virtual environment. I have a set of questions in the questionnaire that are the sense of group presence, in which students are gonna select from a Likert scale, and it's a set of like 5 questions. So I'm thinking of getting the weighted mean of groups, like questions for each individual.
Where are the weights coming from?
Sorry?
You say weighted. When you say weighted, that means this goes 20%, this goes 5%, that goes 36%, etc. Where are those coming from? If you take an average, that's what we're talking about, averages. So why do you use the word weighted?
It's actually average.
So please take out the word weighted.